The GameCube had so many great games, so many masterpieces on the console. Look at this top 10 list. You have games such as Mario. This is the console. You have Mario Sunshine, Melee, Wind Waker, and Mario Kart Double Dash, and Metroid Prime, Bowser's the Door, and Luigi's Mansion, and Resident Evil 4. All classic games on the same console, and also Twilight Princess, but they released that on the Wii as well. I didn't even know they released that on the GameCube. Never knew that, but yeah. Sonic, and yeah, and they also released Animal Crossing. But what about and also Kirby Allied, but yeah. Today we'll talk about the most underrated GameCube game. As much as I love Kirby Allied, even though the game doesn't work anymore, that I own, we'll be talking about a game that nobody talks about how great it is. Pikmin 2. Yep, Pikmin 2 is the most underrated game on the GameCube. Actually, there's probably games that are more underrated on the GameCube. There's a SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, which is also on the same console, Psychonauts, but in terms of Nintendo games, it is probably the most underrated game. Pikmin 2 is basically now we're going over the first Pikmin game. The first Pikmin game was amazing. You got to control this army of little dude people, and yeah, you got to go around, cut down walls. I think the walls, but yeah, I just call them walls because I'm not smart. But yeah, basically, and you have 30 days to get all the SID parts. The game is pretty short, but it's pretty fun. But then we have Pikmin 2. Pikmin 2 has the challenge of the caves. The caves, I think, are probably one of the best additions to the Pikmin games. It adds for more gameplay, and it adds more ideas for more bosses and enemies. So my favorites being the Magnet Wraith, the Titan Revo, and of course the Water Wraith as well. Being probably the best bosses in the entirety of the Pikmin series. The only bosses being as great as some of the Pikmin 3 bosses, and of course the Emperor Bulbax from Pikmin 1, which is the only good boss in the game. But when you little other two bosses is two balls in water, the Snaglet, which is basically boss in every single game, and the beady Longlegs got replaced by the baldy Longlegs and the hairy Longlegs. Yeah, that's the really only good boss. And Pikmin 3 had basically every boss in Pikmin 3 is amazing, except for the Bat boss, which is just one of the most boring boss fights in all Pikmin. But yep. But yeah, Pikmin 2, according to the top 10, is not even the top 10, 20 games on the console. And I get there's so many amazing games. I played both these games as well, such as Sonic Adventure DX, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. I haven't played F-Zero DX, didn't have that game. Sonic Adventure 2, Kirby Air Ride, Animal Crossing 4, Mario Party, all of the OG ones, Mario Parties 4 through 7. And yeah, you have all of these amazing games. So yeah, but what makes Pikmin 2 on the level of games like Luigi's Mansion, Wind Waker, and Double Dash, and Mario Sunshine, also other games that I played when I was a kid, and especially Melee Melee. And yeah, Melee is just as great as any other Smash Bros. Game. Yeah, especially sorry, Melee fans. The Ultimate is on the same level as Melee. Sorry, Melee fanboys. That had to be said. But yeah, I still think Pikmin 2 is the best game in the Pikmin franchise. Pikmin 3 went back to the style of Pikmin 1, where we had basically a time limit. And I think the time limit does add to the stakes of the game. But does add to the stakes of the game as Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 3. Pikmin 3, if you don't get the juice, if you run out of juice, you basically die and your planet dies. In Pikmin 1, if you don't get the SID parts, you become a Pikmin, basically. But in Pikmin 2, there's no real stakes except for the president scoring at you, telling you to hurry up or else. So basically, Pikmin 2, you can play the game for infinite amount of times. So you'll never have to rush playing the game. So if you want to get another treasure, but you only have it's already nighttime, but you can't, but yeah, you can basically just do it in the morning when all the enemies are gone after you beat all the enemies, basically. And yeah, Pikmin 2, I think and now let's get to the caves. Even though there's no stakes of you having of having a time limit, the caves do add a lot of challenge to the game. Many unique bosses, many unique enemies in the caves, that are only found in the caves, basically, and yeah, all the bosses provide a unique challenge, except for Snaglets, because they're not really a hard boss. You can basically woo. But again, Snaglets are basically the Belly Snaglet is one of the first bosses in the game, or the BD Longlegs, which is one of the easiest bosses in the game, even used many times as bosses in stages, and even made it as an overworld enemy after day 30 in the perplexing pool. Kind of like the Snaglet is an overworld boss and 2 stages as well. And yeah, those are the only 2 bosses to become overworld bosses. And yeah, a lot of the bosses, all the boss fights are actually pretty unique, even though you have to fight them multiple times. Even the caves you have to fight bosses multiple times. There's the Hole of Heroes and the Cavern of Chaos and similar caves. Do we have to fight other bosses? Yeah, and Cavern of Chaos and other later caves. We have to fight more. You have to fight many bosses in the caves, more bosses in the middle of the caves. It's still but again, you still have to fight unique bosses such as the Crabster boss, the Crab boss. I actually haven't played this game in like 5 years because the GameCube, it's not the greatest save because it's an old console. But yep, yeah. You also have the Hole of Heroes where you have to fight the Raging Longlegs. I always used to call it Raging Longlegs for some reason. And then we have the worst boss in the game, the Raging Boister. I hate that thing. I never knew how to fight it, so I always lost like half of you Pikmin people to it. And yep, that's why Pikmin 2 is the most underrated game on the GameCube. You have 2 new types of Pikmin, which are both unique in their own right. Treasures, and of course the Piklopedia. And guess what? Pikmin 2 also introduces 2-player mode, something that was not present in Pikmin 1. So of course, having a multiplayer mode or having a versus mode makes Pikmin 2 definitely makes the second game way better than the first one. And also, challenge mode is basically how fast you collect amount of treasures in a given amount of time in a cave. And some of them you have to fight bosses as well. So that's basically it. Goodbye.